right, now welcome to another edition of Spot the Money. I'm Bimbola Awele. On today's edition, Saudi Arabian GP to join Formula One calendar from 2021 season. VAR for Europa. Milan's 24-match unbeaten run ends, and United continue to back Solskjaer despite defeat to Istanbul, Başakşehir. And what to expect from European football this week. All of that and then some in a moment. All right, we begin with Formula One, where Saudi Arabia is set to join the racing calendar with a night race in the 2021 season. A street circuit in Jeddah will stage the inaugural race in the Middle East after Bahrain and Abu Dhabi. Speaking about Saudi's inclusion to the racing circuit, Formula One chairman Chase Carey describes the Arab nation as a country rapidly becoming a hub for sports and entertainment, with many major events taking place there in recent years, and we are very pleased that Formula One will be racing there for the next season. However, Amnesty International, those people have kicked against Saudi's inclusion. In a statement, the rights group's head of campaigns in the United Kingdom, Felix Jakens, says Formula One should realize that the Saudi Grand Prix in 2021 would be part of ongoing efforts to sportswash the country's abysmal human rights record. Amnesty urged all Formula One drivers, owners and teams to consider speaking out about the human rights situation in the country, including by expressing solidarity with jailed human rights defenders. And from that, we move straight into football, and I've got someone on the analytical chair for this morning's edition. His name is Deji Faremi. Good morning, Deji.
Good morning, Bimbo. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. And you?
Oh, very well. Let's do this, yeah?
All right. So, VAR for Europa seems to be what someone in particular is calling for. His name is Mikel Arteta, is the manager of Arsenal, and he made the call last night after their game with Molde. Arsenal could have led that game, but they came back from a goal down to win 4-1 eventually. But an earlier goal by Nketiah, which seemed like like it was onside. It was Joe Willock who was offside. The goal was ruled out for offside. And he's making the call now that just like they have in most local leagues and in the Champions League, why not in the Europa League, Deji?
Yeah. Bimbo, I think he's made a very good point. Every level of football, if you ask me, should have VAR. But then that's what ought to be. We have to be realistic. We have to look at the reality of things. VAR is expensive. The logistics to get it at every stadium is also maybe complicated for some of these teams, especially in the Europa League. At the Champions League level, you'd expect that the teams that compete in the Champions League can afford to have VAR. A lot of these teams, of course, in Italy, in France, in Spain, Germany, in England, already 20 teams from those leagues. But then when you go down to the lower level of football in Europe, you're talking about teams from Azerbaijan, teams from Moldova, and across. And these teams don't have VAR even in their leagues. I'm not sure, some of these teams can even get VAR for the Europa League. So I think it's a bit difficult. Of course, one thing you ever don't want to do is to have VAR in some matches and then not in some other matches. Yeah. So I think that's a problem at the moment. And if you can't get a uniform, then it's not a level playing field. So unfortunately for Mikel Arteta, he's picking facts. But realistically, I'm not sure that we are ready for it at the moment. I'm sure UEFA will be thinking about it, though. We need VAR at every level of football. even to the lowest level if possible, because VAR, for me, it's been good for football, and it helps, to a very large extent with the calls where, the margins are very, very tight. VAR helps you to make a more correct decision. I think, that's why we should get it as soon as possible.
All right. So AC Milan have finally lost their 24-match unbeaten run. It ended and in such strange fashion, 3-0 loss in the Europa League to Lille, and Zlatan was on the pitch. Now, I was asking that question earlier about, Zlatan scoring, until now, he had scored, I think it was 7 goals in 4 matches. And, he kind of looked like he was always contributing. He always had a hand in every win that they had in recent times. And, I asked someone, I can't remember if it was in Coro, I asked that at 39 years old, should it be Zlatan that will be rescuing AC Milan at this time? What happens to him if he gets injured or if he's out of form? And even with him on the pitch, they, couldn't summon a goal. He came close only once, and, the man will have back problem carrying that team. Is it too, at his age, am I fear-mongering or am I making sense?
No, Bimbo, you're absolutely right. I think it's not sustainable to rely on a 39-year-old striker. One who's had 2 knee injuries in the last, 2-3 years. One who's played in the MLS as well. All due respect to Zlatan, I think, he's overperformed or outperformed himself already in his time at AC Milan from last season on to this season. But I feel like, from an AC Milan point of view, they should be thinking beyond Zlatan Ibrahimovic. They should be thinking beyond a man of that age. Their dependence obviously was going to tell at some point. Bimbo, as much as we're making a good point, another side to this argument would be, do you then bench him? A man who is on form, a man who's, firing on all cylinders, the team works very well around him. Do you bench him because you want to try other options, for the raining days like yesterday? I think that's a difficult situation where a manager like Pioli finds himself. He's thinking, okay, yeah, maybe I can't rely on Zlatan long term, but do I then bench him? And if I bench him and, the other guy who comes in doesn't perform, then what happens?
Maybe you should just use him sparingly for league games, because, at 39, you can't,
I think
be playing in all games.
They don't trust so much the other options they have. And unfortunately, Rebic has been injured as well. I think Rebic has just returned, the other centre forward who's been consistent for them. So I think that there's an issue of trusting the kind of quality they have as well. And if you don't trust the quality you have, you can't take risks in games, especially for a side like AC Milan who are just trying to find some form and some rhythm. I think that's where they have found themselves at the moment. You're looking for rhythm, you're looking for some continuity, but then it's continuity with a 39-year-old. And yesterday was a bad day because Zlatan didn't shine, and once he didn't shine, obviously, the team found it very difficult. But we have to credit Leo Bimbo. He played very well. Yazici was on form. He's, 8 goals now in his last 4 matches. He's absolutely on fire. He was the man for Leo yesterday, midfielder. And I think at this point it will be important to credit Leo because it's no mean feat. Milan have been imperious, 24 games unbeaten, and yesterday they're beaten fairly.
Very, very fairly. All right, from AC Milan and the Italian league, let's move to England. And one man seems to be under fire, depending on who you ask, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But he seems to still have the support of Manchester United. That's according to reports that we got from Sky. We're getting from Sky Sports. Despite losing, in Turkey. In the Champions League this week, and let's not forget that loss to Arsenal over the weekend, and then he's also still lost to Tottenham, and they'll be playing Everton tomorrow. Actually, should Ole be worried? First of all, should Ole be worried about his position at Manchester United?
I think he should be. I don't think, though, that United should be contemplating sacking him yet, or, for the midterm, say the next 1 or 2 years. But I've always been a fan of clubs backing their managers. And, for me, the question is, do you see something going differently and going right in the short term, or maybe in the midterm, if you ask me, say maybe the next 1 or 2 years? Do they see Ole going to the next level? I think those are the questions they should ask themselves. Last season, they ended up not winning any trophy, but then they got to, 3 semi-finals? 3
semi-finals. That in itself was criticized. That how can you play 3 semi-finals and not get anything out of it?
I thought that was a good thing, really. See, Bimbo, when you hire a manager, for me, it's always been about projection. Why have we hired you? Do we see something that we will continue to see in the next 3 years, maybe 4 years? And when a manager who's in his first year or his first full season gets to 3 semi-finals, it should be positive, if you ask me. You should think, okay, one more step away from final. Could have been 3 finals. Could have been a treble, sort of, for Manchester United. And I think, those are the things that they should hold on to. It's okay to talk about the football, and it's okay to talk about the tactical aspects of the game. But no one has a perfect manager. You go to France and there are talks about Tuchel being under pressure. You go to Real Madrid, Zidane, talks about him being under pressure as well. Everyone is complaining about their manager, more or less. So, you have to find reasons to stick with your manager. And if you have good enough reasons, like I said, mid-term to stick with the manager, then I think you should be looking at those positives and seeing how you can make the most of it.
Okay. The AFCON qualifier in Nigeria will be playing, but there have been mixed reactions towards a decision that fans should not be at the stadium. The game will be playing in Edo State. Edo State had said it was going to throw open the gates to allow fans to come in. That's even another seminar discussion on its own. This idea of us always throwing the gates open and not making money from our games, which I do not understand. When we started all of this, I mean, the national stadium Surulere used to be so packed, but now it seems Nigerians are not watching even the Super Eagles play anymore, such that the stadium gates have to be thrown open to encourage people to come and support the stadium. That alone should be investigated, because I don't know when everything just went downhill. But even during a pandemic now, they are debating whether they should throw the gates open. Should we even be having this debate at all?
We shouldn't, Bimbo. We shouldn't. I don't know why we're talking about throwing the gates open. I mean, I'd have been thinking of, a situation where they're saying, okay, we'll be allowing maybe 500 fans, maybe 1,000 fans into the stadium. That sort of arrangement, for me, that's the best case scenario in this sort of situation. We've seen some stadiums across Europe that, starting to receive fans for football games. And even at those stadiums, it's half, maybe quarter capacity. I think that's what we should be thinking at now. There's so much, going on as far as the pandemic is concerned. So much that should be bothering us, so much that we should be concerned about. And taking in 15,000 fans into the stadium is not one of those things, It's not the time for that. I don't think it's the time for that. There's so much going on at the moment. I think, we should be focusing more on the football. How do we get the best results in that match? It's a very crucial game for us. We win, we go to 9 points, close to getting qualification. So I think that's what we should be thinking at the moment, not throwing the... There's serious misplaced priority, but I can't understand why.
We can't continue to tell it all like that song says. All right, and finally, this week in football, big games in Germany: Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Munich, Saturday, Manchester United to Everton. Yeah, that's one to keep an eye on. Champions Liverpool will take the trip to the Etihad, where Guardiola is in search of form. I don't know, when last I said that. Valencia will host Real Madrid. And I might also add Barcelona, any game Barcelona are playing now, is kind of something to watch.
There's so much attention.
So much attention now with what's going on in Barcelona. That one is another conversation for another day, what's happening in Barcelona. And finally, Serie A, Lazio hosts Juventus. Which one will you be most interested in?
I think Liverpool City, because, there'll be a chance to make a huge statement for either side. Last 2 seasons, last 3 seasons, if you may, it's been Manchester City and Liverpool gunning for the league. It's been between the 2 teams. Even the last season wasn't so much of a contest. But I think, for this season, with the likes of Manchester United nowhere close, I'm not sure Tottenham have the pedigree or the resilience to go all the way. It looks like it'll be a Liverpool-Man City battle again. Liverpool don't look as strong as last season, especially after the injuries. So
Van Dijk.
I think, this would be a huge, exactly. So this would be a huge statement game for either side. You win this game and, you start to feel confident. You start to feel that, okay, if I can beat these guys, then I can, find my way past these other guys in the league who are not so consistent. So, I'll be keeping an eye on that one. I'll be hoping for United's sake and Ole's sake that they don't lose, because it could be major prices if they lose. They're in the bottom half of the league, they lose, and, they start to think about stuff. I don't have so much hope for Dortmund against Bayern Munich. I think Bayern Munich will win as usual. Unfortunately, it's lost some of its glamour, that one. And then for Real Madrid, it's a bit similar to the Liverpool City game as well. Real Madrid...
Oh, we seem to have lost Deji there. We try to get back to him. Well, much of the conversation has been said anyway, with all that is going on in the world of football, especially for those games, set to go down this week. All right, just a quick mention. Football legend Diego Maradona is to be kept in hospital for several more days after his brain surgery this week. His doctor says he's suffering from confusion caused by unexplained abstinence. The comments of Maradona's doctor came hours after he told reporters that the 60-year-old World Cup winner felt well enough to tell doctors he should be discharged. Maradona won the World Cup with Argentina in 1986. Who can forget the hand of God? All right, that's our show for today, our lifestyle edition of Spot the Money. The conversation continues on Twitter at AfricaBizRadio and online at www.africabusinessradio.com. I'm Bimbola Awoyole. Until our next episode, keep winning.